Fuck you, OBS. Fuck you. Alright, so this is third time going because OBS is a piece of shit. So we're going to bring up Circe real quick because I have a valid complaint about the enhancements. Basically, Myra is fine. There's nothing wrong with her. She was a good character, buffed up to a better standard. Malphasie was a good character, buffed up to God standard. Circe was a character, buffed up to God standard. And she'll only be used for one specific reason. Well, two, really, now that I've thought about it. First off, she gets to use both her skills whenever the fuck she wants, so she can just pick whatever she wants out of anything. And the second thing is her Ouroboros. Decreased spirit, and then she doesn't attack. Okay, you're gone. Get out of here. We're going to talk about Malphasie real quick. Malphasie is a broken disaster in every regard. First, 5-star. Even at 5-star, this character is on the example of a 7-star Frevia, doing a 12x mod, even in the weakest state at 5-star. She can also remove status effects, so if you don't have Odin or blah blah blah, you can do that. She has the ability to give herself imbues of two kinds, gives her Imperil, and she also does an attack with it, with Bolting Strike. This is important because she is applying all the benefits and then using said benefit with an attack. Feast for Crows is amazing. You get to have full HP, mitigation of 75% for one turn, which is great if you don't have mitigation, so it's better than using guard. You get to remove all the debuffs, and you get attack magic for 4 turns. You have 1,000 Wings, which may, if you have her 7-star, doesn't really mean too much at first, but it still gives her an additional option to use Tornado as a chaining family if you want to do that. She's allowed to double cast anything she wants, and she has the most powerful hybrid damage of a 30 hit move out of everyone. It is Dark and Wind, so it means if they are immune to both of those, you'd be kind of shit out of luck. But most of the times that isn't really the case, and it is still extremely powerful for what it is, especially for a character that has 6x chain cap. So yeah, this can get pretty absurd. And you could pretty much use this as a starter, and then chain off your other skills to cap off on everything. Meaning you can definitely get 6x, no problem. You then have your basic one, which is a 24 on Bolting Strike. These all gain 4x, I believe. At least most of them do. Phoenix Winds, Phoenix Winds. Nope, they all do. So these are all actually 28x. This will be important later. But yeah, they're all pretty extremely high mods. Even at the base result, if she had no magic or no physical, she would still have 14x modifier for physical or magic. So yeah, she's absurd in that regard. She can also double cast her cooldown abilities, which were always still good anyway. She gets 75% for birds and demons, and then attack magic for herself with a punch. And she has defense spirit, which is pretty much there's nothing different here from what she had previously. But now she can just double cast it with something else. So she can pretty much debuff the target and then punch them in the face herself to kill them. So that's good. She covers a lot of resistances that are just awesome. For me, when I built her, I pretty much only was able to get hit by silence. So yeah, she's absurd in that regard. Her percentages are great. She gets free dual cast. The worst part about her is probably MP regen. She doesn't get a standard 10, she only gets 8. She gets 100% killers on birds and demons. Her counter is amazing and is extremely high, so it's likely to happen. It's also Divine Ruination Chains. So if you decide you want to be a douchebag in Arena, you can totally do that. The only thing that sucks is that she doesn't have stop or charm resistance. But she still wouldn't be that bad to put in there anyway. And if you're thinking, oh, she wouldn't be good in Arena because she doesn't have accuracy, you can totally give her accuracy. She can dual cast abilities twice. Like, there's no problem there. She can totally decimate people in Arena. No problem. And she's just as ridiculous in every other place. If you use LB, you give attack and magic to everyone. This honestly isn't really worth leveling up, I believe. Like, maybe 25, but not above that. Because everything else doesn't really increase that much. But it's still extremely good for what it is, even at base. And then you get her ridiculous skills, which is a 54x mod of wind or dark. Same problem as before if it's dark or wind resistance, but it's not likely to be the case, and even then her damage is still absurd on the other mods of 28. But yeah, so she gets to punch somebody in the face twice, probably with an imperil. That's 108%. Oh, 8%. Wow, that's pretty awful. 108x mod. So, yeah, she's absurd in every regard. We're going to bring this up as well. She gets LB gauge fill rate, because that'll be important later. Because she also has a 30 crest rate as well. Let's talk about Burl real quick. Hopefully I'm saying that right. If I'm not, I really don't care at this point. He's your pretty typical tank in most regards. He's got a provoke with mitigation, which is kind of dumb now that I think about it. I haven't really thought about it before. Because he passively gets 30% anyway. So, yeah, about that. He's actually got a lot of problems like that, honestly, where they just kind of have overlapping effects. Kind of makes it redundant. Probably the best thing about him, really off the bat, is that he can do 60% pretty much whenever he wants, because he can dual cast it. This is a big problem in Genuine for me. I'm going to mention it right now. He's got two split ones where he can either imbue and give buffs of 75% resistance to light and dark, or he can do, as I just mentioned, throw out a debuff of 60%. And then he's got his attack one, which is just do it twice, and he can do it 3 times if he does this. The big problem here is that this should just be a genuine double, and it'll make sense later. So I already mentioned these. Dark resistance fine, light resistance fine. These are fine in general. Heaven mode is redundant. The reason it's redundant is your passive abilities are already better than this for the most part, and this was basically used to get double cast before. So instead of just simply removing it from his kit, they just kind of left it there, and all you're really getting from it is 130% magic, losing 100% fill rate, and then gaining a MP regen. This is a problem because if you're using this character as a tank, you're likely to use Total Eclipse first, and I think it would be pretty retarded of you to remove that. You're basically removing all the benefits that you're building up to, and there's no reason for that. There's no reason this exists. It's just stupid. Maybe if he could double cast anything he wanted, you could be like, oh no, you can do this. No, this is just dumb. And it's the same thing here. Same stupid shit. If you use them for DPS, it's not as bad, but in this case, it's just dumb. And that's pretty fucking low considering what this is. Like, he can't even dual cast this, so for one turn, he's gonna have to waste a turn to do this, and he gets 2 turns of triple cast on a bunch of mods that aren't even really all that great. Which now I'll bring up. The mods are okay damage. They go from like 8 to like 10x for the most part, except for Force of Light, which is basically just used for the Imperil. The Chain is awful. Octaslash is awful. Bolting Strike, which is fine, is one of the lower mods and gets no mod support off of him. He only gets that for Force of Light and Penance Poke. So, where's Penance Poke? Fuck are you? Oh my god, that actually makes me even more sad. I was thinking this was Force of Light. I was giving too much credit. Oh, I'm sad now. God damn it. Oh, it's awful. So, you have your Bolting Strike, and it's going to be probably the most used if you plan on doing this. But it's only 9x, and it gets no mod support. Then this one gets a 6x. Remember, you can already imbue light and dark easily. So, this getting mod support is just dumb. It's like giving fucking exposed guilt or exposed sins fucking mod support. Like, oh look, it's a 4.5 now, aren't you gonna use that for fucking damage? It's like, no, you fucking retards at Gumi. I'm not, because that's retarded. So, Bolting Strike is the one you're most likely to use. Other ones you'll use for, like, the benefit. You got Total Eclipse. It's got another redundancy, since you already get it for free for the most part. And more than likely, he'll die, so he'll get his stuff back anyway, so he gets another 150% for free. But it's there. It's not necessarily a negative. It's just kind of redundant. Already talked about those. They should just be a double. And it'll make sense in a second when I mention it. Chaos Wave. Chaos Wave is a horrible chaining family. You're never going to really get a good cap off of that unless you perfect chain, which a lot of people can't do legitimately. It's a 12X. I thought it had mod support. It doesn't. You're not likely to really chain it with anyone either, so we're going to go with these cooldowns first. I've already talked about this one and how stupid it is. If you're a tank, this is redundant. You'll never use it. This is your standard thing, and it's fine. We got our 6 cooldown abilities. There's several fucking issues with this shit. First off, the character is stack-based, so you need to attack 4 times or 3 times here. So your character is going to kill themselves, so they immediately lose their stack, so that's gone. That's a punishment and a negative already. The second one is the turn and cooldown rate is absurd. It's not like 6 turns and then cooldown of 2 or something. It's just awful and awful. 3. This one in itself is a positive. This ability is awesome, but it has a negative to it, and it's either one of them. And this is the reason why this needs to be double cast. Since the character kills themselves and you're likely to use this character as a tank, I hope everybody else is going to live, because he's not defending them anymore. He doesn't have a cover and a passive or any of that shit. He doesn't get Total Eclipse for free. Like, that could actually fix it too. If Total Eclipse, if this was on this or this, it could work. Kind of like Claudette's LB. Like, you know, she just gets it for free, plus she gets all that other shit. But they didn't do that. They also didn't do it the other way of giving double cast, so you could kill your character and then give yourself a buff, so it's not redundant. But they did give you the option to kill him twice if you want. 2 born dies. Let me do it. Yeah, there you go. So if you want to, you can act like the moody suicide teenager you always wanted to be and murder this motherfucker twice. And then we have the last problem, besides all the other things I mentioned. What did we point out before? Light damage, imperil, and then debuff. Why is this an issue? Let's go back to Malphase. I already pointed on Circe as well, because they have multiple reasons of doing the same thing over and over, so it's inexcusable. Applies Imbue, implies Imperil, hits the target. Makes sense. Perfect in synergy. You get all the benefits, and then you punch them. What's the character do? Punches him, doesn't get any of the benefits. It's fucking stupid. Now let's go to this horrible disaster. And you might be thinking to yourself, but this character's like a rags to riches story. No, this character's like a rags to like 1-bedroom apartment. So, first off, we're going to point out laziness. First, her weapon. If you have this character, you get a free 2-handed katana, which is great. It's probably the best part of this character, in all honesty. But the katana, if you had the audacity to use this character, which I guess Gumi wasn't expecting anyone to actually use her, and I did, if you went to Item World and enhanced that shit, well, go fuck yourself, because you can eat a bag of dicks. Because you're not allowed to use in the recipe. And the big problem here is the 2-handed katana, regardless of what you really do with this character, is more beneficial than the one-handed will ever be. Ever in existence. And here's the reason it's really lazy. Like, instead of giving an option to all players to just throw whatever they want into that recipe, they just simply went, it has to have nothing or it doesn't work at all. So for me, I had, since I want to have 2 of them, to use my Trust Moogles and waste my materials in order to get another one. This is really lazy, and it'll increase my argument later for what I think will happen. Because they've already chose that if there's even like a little bit of an issue, like if it would take a little bit more to work on in order to make it work, they just don't do it. They don't do it at all. Considering what all the other characters get, she got shit on as well as far as TMRs and super TMRs. I mean, she does get a new katana that just like pops out of her ass. Let's point this out on how stupid this really is. We're gonna look at Malphasey. Malphasey didn't really have any big issues to begin with, but she got a bunch of buffs. I don't think she got any on the TMR, but she did on her super TMR. Initially, it doesn't look like anything changed, and I thought nothing changed anyway. And then somebody was like, oh, this also has 50% attack and magic when dual wielding, plus killers, plus all this other shit. Jesus Christ. It's fucking absurd. Like, I could throw this on a character that doesn't even use 2 weapons, and it would be fucking absurd. Like, this is just dumb in general. And then you look at Burl, and it's just like his super TMR gets a buff. It's 25% on characters, 50% if it's for him. And then this gets a buff. I don't remember exactly what it was. I think it gains like 20% HP. But you're seeing the point here, right? These are receiving buffs, and they're awesome. What does this bitch get? She gets a 2-handed sword you have to craft, and her super TMR gets nothing. Not a goddamn thing. Do you see what I'm talking about here when it comes to laziness? You have all the other characters, like, just stupid shit. And then it's just like, nothing. We'll make a 2-hand variety you have to waste materials to make. Like, what? So we're gonna talk about her unique aspects first, since people say, but she had other abilities besides shitty damage. So if you want to waste your slots doing this kind of shit, she can heal HP and MP for everyone except herself while hurting herself. This one's pretty cool. She can negate 3 physical attacks. So if you don't have an AoE dodge of some sort for fixed events, she will be able to dodge that, no problem. This is okay. It's not great. And a big problem with this character is a lot of her attacks are single. They're not AoE, while the other ones are like, I do 108 hybrid, and I also hit everybody, and I get this, and that, and this. And this character's just like, I do 4x my damage and apply my debuff. And she shits herself and dies. Okay, so, then she's got her imbues. Awful damage. Imbues. There you go. She's like Squall in that regard. You know, let's awaken a character and then make them awful. Sweet. This is probably the best thing about her because of Arena, which I'll discuss later. She can triple cast this and basically fuck up people. But as far as this goes, her damage is pretty awful. She can get it up to 8.5. We will now bring up Malphasey because this is relevant. She can just, you know, blow people up casually for 48 if she wants, or she can dual cast and do something else. You know, 3 times that of what Ellie can do with full mod support, which would take 2 turns to build up. So she's jerking off for 2 turns to do fucking horrendous damage. Also, she gets regen, which won't matter because her defensive and spirit stats are awful. Overflow is a joke. You won't really be able to use the benefit of Overflow very much, and I will bring up the one example where you could use it. If you do everything you possibly can, and you do all the chaining events right, in a specific event where you hit somebody after their mitigation drops, because this is the argument that's used, you can make Hemomancer's Blade do like 3.5 more damage, and then get 2x more damage off of your blood, whichever one you're going to do. Because they're interchangeable. They're just MP or health. You'll probably be doing MP. Because I'm assuming you have other characters besides just her. But besides that, it's awful. You'll lose damage over time if you're just continually attacking. When I did the math on it, you lose 6x modifier. Auto revive is good. If you use it, this was what you will probably be using it for. Force transfusion is just genuinely dumb. It's low in damage, and if you actually have 7-star, you'll be using these down here. You'd also probably be better off using the regen over just doing that. She has her double skill. It's not necessarily bad. Sometimes you only need to do 2. Comes off redundant at times, because obviously you want that triple. So it's not like she's a good 6-star or something. Human Splitter and Demon Splitter, they're pretty awful in damage by themselves. I think they get full mod support, but it's kind of like, eh. If you get full mod support, you're going to do these. If you do these, you're going to do them for their benefits, which is 50% human or demon killer, which I'd like to bring back the fact of Malphasy after I mention this. This character gets 50% demon and human killer. Malphasy gets 100% passive and then 75% active, and she gets both of them. This character has to specifically do one or the other, with wasting a turn of one of her triple attacks, and it only lasts for 2 turns. It's not even long, and that's all it does. I'd like to also mention the fact she has a bunch of bolting strike. This will come relevant in 2 seconds. This character has like no AoE support whatsoever, which is awful for most content, which even makes her more of a niche pick, even though her damage is awful. Like, she doesn't do a lot of single target physical damage. She's just awful in general. Blood Sacrifice doesn't get full support. Hemomancer Strike doesn't get full support of the 3X. They completely dodge over that. It only affects stupid shit, pretty much. So her AoE, back to that again, is Octaslash, which is a horrible chaining family. Barely anyone fucking does it. She hurts herself doing it. But hey, she gains LB. That's pretty good, right? Right. The standard thing you're probably going to do, though, is Blood Flash, because you're probably not going to be hurt, and you can basically just do this forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. The only problem she'd probably have is based on around the fact if she gets drained of her MP. Because once again, like I said, her stats are fucking awful. Look at him! Look at him! So yeah, she's likely to like lose all of her MP, die, all that fun shit. Plus, she's also hurting herself, so you know, that's good. We're gonna go down here real quick, because this is relevant. Increase attack defense 170% for 2 turns when under 81%. The thing is, when you always do her pattern, you're gonna always do something like this. Because it's, you know, it makes sense. Why wouldn't you do that? So what do you actually get out of this? Basically, you could take this part and just remove it. It's redundant. She'll get 170% defense, and that's it. And if you weren't going to do that, the only thing that can really get it is a multitude of cast, or use an open you up, because everything else is 10% or 20, no, not 20, 15%. So they went out of their way to make sure these won't activate them if you decided to just do it once. You'd have to do it twice. Luckily, she can trigger it pretty easily, but she'll make the attack one pretty redundant. If you're going to do rotation, you're likely to do this one first. Which in a way seems like it makes sense, but it doesn't. Because you'll do this first, last 5 turns, you do this, last 4 turns, then you do this, and you've just lost damage. So, yeah, this one is just awful. This should last for, like, ever, considering how fucking trash it really is. Yeah, that's like a 10x mod kind of thing. Which, sorry, a 10 turn kind of thing, not 10 mod, even though she needs it. So at her best, let's say she gets everything, she can get 15.5 on this. Oh, which is a 46.5 if she does a triple, if everything goes well. So basically, Malphasy beats her with simply 1 move, and she's going to be doing that twice. Already talked about the AoE and how that's stupid. Because, like, once again, Malphase's fucking AoE bombing fucking everyone. Destroying the entire fucking world. Circe's also doing the same fucking thing. And then she comes out and she's like, I do weaker damage, and I can only punch people with single attacks. Plus, my mod support's awful, and I have horrible kit synergy. So we're going to keep going. So if you actually do everything correctly, and you get this shit going, hell, let's say you actually do it at the best potential. This will be a 26.5, and then you get the debuff Spirit. And what's the problem here? What did we point out with this motherfucker? She gets none of the benefit. And with most people, they cheat. So if you're using two of this character, neither of them will see it. If you don't perfect chain, you will see one of them get it. But it's stupid, and it should be up here. Just like the fucking rest of them have. There's no reason, especially for all the other downfalls of this character, for this to be down here. This is horrific design and should never be like that. This character will never see this damage potential of herself on this move. Because the cooldown is too long, and it doesn't benefit from it initially. So that's retarded. This one you're likely to use to gain your LB gauge, but for the most part it's just like a 3k barrier, and then a LB fill. It's there. It's not necessarily bad, but you're likely to waste it on both your characters if they can't gain it naturally, because you're going to want to do this. You want this to happen turn 2. Luckily, if you're in a prolonged fight, well, not prolonged, but like it goes to like stage 1, stage 2, then you can actually skip a step if you want to, and you can choose to not use this. But overall, you're probably going to have to waste your time using this. And you won't be able to actually use it in a strategic way. Not unless you plan on dumping your damage. Let's talk about how her kit is stupid on regards of her new item. So I think this is stupid in regards to any character that has to do it. So they make a new weapon, and they're like, oh look, it's a easier to get two-handed katana. Woo! It's got demon killer. First off, she gets punished on her own killers because the sword has 25% demon killer. So I know that would be used as an excuse as to why it's okay that she has shitty killers. Because if you get her super TMR and two-handed or one-handed, she gets 100% demon killer. So anyway, since I know that retarded argument will be made, we're going to point out that she will instantly lose 100% because that's only for one-handed weapons. We've got an A2 problem going on here. How do we make a character shittier for no reason? Let's force them to only be able to use one-handed weapons. This is ridiculous because of the fact that she loses attack percentage because she had 250%. So she has low attack percentage, low stats, and she can't even fully benefit from using her two-handed fucking katana. This is like Emperor Shira retardeds of kits. Like, let's put a tank ring on a DPS. Like, awesome. Makes sense. The best aspect of this character is her arena potential. She has a stop and charm resistance and a 30-hit chain. The damage on it is pretty trash, but that doesn't matter really in arena. As long as you have enough attack, you're going to hit cap anyway. So she is a arena queen. She doesn't have counters, but if you want to, as just a player yourself, just wipe the fucking floor with the AI, you can do it. No problem. I've been doing it right now, and they canceled this shit out. You can't even use this. I've been using one and fucking them up. That's just how powerful a 30-hit move is in arena. Yeah, but when it basically comes to it, it's like, her kit's awful. She's got things that don't make sense, like, this shit is backwards. When on, like, Malphase, it allows you to benefit everything, and then, like, they get to punch them. And they don't just do it once here, they also do it on Barrel. Because COD Dead exists, and they want a character that is less likely for you to want to pull on. Basically, that's like a money thing. So basically, this character got nerfed because of Claudette. And this character's a piece of shit because they wanted to go home. But yeah, let's go over her string of chain real quick. Let's say you actually do it. You're going to use Open You Up. If you're doing AoE, you're fucked. You're already screwed. Because everything is pretty much single. But we're gonna act like the best potential of this. We're gonna act like all the enemy fights are just one target. Because you know that always happens. So you're gonna do that. You're probably gonna use armor so you can get your LB next turn. Or maybe you'll wait it out and see if you get enough LB gauge, even though this is a thing, which is redundant, at least for her. It'll help later, but by then it's just kind of like, okay, sure. And then you're probably going to use Hemomancer's Blade. If you're not doing that, you'll probably use it third turn, which will waste damage potential there. But at some point, you're going to have to do one of these imbues. Or I'd pretty much just be like, why are you using this character? Then you're going to do LB, because you have to. So that's 2 turns pretty much wasted doing setup. And then you're going to do whatever the fuck you're going to do. And then the 4th turn's going to come, and you're going to punch 1 target for okay damage. I think you get to like a little bit less than 60. Pretty much don't benefit anything from this, except for on the other 2 strikes. And more than likely on the 3rd turn you did this. So this will probably be like a 10x mod. Genuinely, you can do content with this character. The issues I have are obvious. This character is extremely downplayed from the potential of the other characters. Like, she's like a 30% at her max efficiency, and she's just ridiculous and gets everything set up like... like, if she dies, you just have to LB once, and you're back on and fucking destroying shit. If L dies, your cooldown is gone. Your mods are gone. Her base damage is relatively weak. It's just stupid. It's not like these are low cooldowns or anything like that, or she's doing anything super unique in any other aspect. She's basically just a DPS character that's just not good at it. She's inefficient on AoE. Her chain partners are awful. The only thing she's good at is bolting strike, and those are single. And while she could probably do decent at most content, there's no reason why she was gutted so bad in comparison. Like, come on, you have comparisons here. You did 5 characters, you made 2 great, and then you look at this one and it's like, what the fuck? And the reason this is so bad is, like, you know, these are simple things. They could have easily just went, and put that up here, but they didn't. Why? Because they're lazy. Why'd they do it here? Because they're lazy. Why? What about the katana? Because they're lazy. Are you getting it? Are you getting the problems here? Besides all the problems with her kit and just genuine design? At one point, they gave a shit about 3 characters, and then it got to these ones, and they're just like, I don't give a shit anymore. And they just made them just horrendous in comparison. Yeah, they're better than what they were, but there's no reason why they were treated like shit. Like, they put them in a bag and they like beat them, and then they're like, here's some buffs, and they just like threw them on their fucking beaten up corpse. And this is the big problem. This is the huge problem with this. Since they're fully capable of just being this horrendously lazy and shit in design, what does that mean for the August ones? Like, Roberta and a bunch of other characters already have ability awakenings. That means they would have to do more work to make that ability function in the enhanced version, which probably means Roberta is going to be like Ellie. She's not going to be Malphasine and get the god tier treatment. She's going to get the shit tier treatment. And there's plenty of characters like that, like Kryla. Kryla's debuffs are just going to be 65%. Why? Because Lid. You got to make the character nerfed in comparison to Lid. You're not going to awaken Lid if she just does the same thing. So it's just going to get ignored. Like most things. And that's the problem. We need to put our concern about this to Gumi. If we don't say anything at all, guess what happens? Nothing. If you're a window spectator, I don't want your opinion. I really don't. Because more than likely, you're just going to say it's fine because she received genuine buffs. But it isn't fine. Because it's the attitude they had when they made the character. If they do that, it makes most of the enhancements kind of redundant. Because they're likely to just make the character not worth having still. Like, the best aspect of this character is either the situation where you don't have anything better, or for the katana for another unit. That's it. She doesn't do enough in her own regard to really be worth using. And it's just the way they treated the characters, both of them. They shouldn't do that to any character. They should have just been like, we're just going to enhance these three, and it should have just been like that. Because if you don't have any heart into the content you create, then why are you even doing it? You just put out a poor product, and that's it. And that's what these two are. They're poor products. They could have easily have made more sense and had better kit synergy. But they don't. Because Gumi staff just had to go home. The day was late. Awful. Time to go home. And that's all I gotta say. I just hope people say something about that. I don't mind that her mods are lower. I mind the fact that they did 5 characters, made Malphase and Circe fucking DPS gods, plus all the other shit, like, super TMR change, other benefits they can do, like status removal, stuff like that. While Elle is just like, like, if I get her, she's okay. It's just stupid to me that you would do that. Like, there's just so many problems. And I feel it should be addressed so they don't do it again. It's kind of like the Christmas event. Like, that shit's bullshit. Like, we needed people to fucking spam refresh Lapis in order to even make that possible for other players. And they're likely not to do it again, but it's the fact that if they get away with that shit, they'll keep doing it. So we need to address and put a complaint to Gumi about it. Please just say something that they deserve better treatment, at least in the future for the other units. Even if these units don't specifically receive some type of benefit, at least we can try to make the August ones better than this lazy slop of garbage. Thank you for listening to my ramblings about this stuff. I really hope it changed some sort of opinion about it, whether you didn't have one originally, or you decided that Gumi just is gods and they can't do anything wrong. Because that's always what you want. You want to sway opinions to better the environment for everyone in that scenario, whether it's a game or real life or whatever. So, as I said before, thank you for listening. Sorry for how long it is, or if anything, it rambles on. See you later. Have a good one.